So, good morning, everybody. We're going to start today's inspirational talk by my reading of a poem that I wrote in November 2004, and it's called Love. Love is why we're here. We belong. We're one. Humanity, a prison, a race that must be won. That's O-N-E, not W-O-N. Completeness is our aim, a joining of all hearts. It's up to me and you to stop the drift apart. As the universe expands, we hope it won't be lost into the outer darkness. That's too high a cost. A gathering together of all that is or was is our great desire for love instead of loss. Love is the end and the beginning. Love will carry us through till the old and tarnished is lost and all things are made new. We celebrate diversity. We're glad we're all the same. Like a rose, we're overjoyed. Love is sweet by any name. So it's quite an early poem. I used to write poetry as a teenager, and I just decided that I wanted to write song lyrics. So I wanted to be Bernie Taupin, and I wanted some Elton John to put music to my words. So that's the original start point for the more recent writing. And 2004 is when I really started to write again. So it's quite an early piece, and it, compared to what I write now, it seems almost childish, but the message that I had back then is no different to the message that I've got now. And why I feel so convinced that the Way, the online community, the Way, is the place for me to be, because these concepts that I was talking about 17 years ago is actually what the Way, in my mind at least, represents. So I wanted you to know when I was reading it that a race that must be won, that humanity, a prison. It's like the light shines in on the prison and all these different colours come off, all these different rainbow colours come off. And you have humanity, the people that make up humanity, that's me and you and everybody else, they all shine, they reflect that light in slightly different colour, different hue. So we're all the same, but we're not. The thing that is the same about us is our difference. You're all, you are unique, just like everybody else. Yeah, it's like a conundrum, a little funny thing to say. You're unique, just like everybody else. We're all different, but we're all the same because we all belong to the oneness. And I think I've been hearing some astronomer talking about the redshift, the way that the whole universe is expanding. And the idea is, in my mind, that it's just expanding into darkness. And there's the idea that this thing that started together, this big bang that started in this tiny little space that could fit between my two thumbs and two fingers there, this big bang, every from that moment on, everything is going away from each other. And I remember reading a book, and it was about a supercomputer that was created in the 50th century or something, and it was Arthur C. Clarke's book. So a collection of short science fiction stories, and it was set up, this computer, to find out whether entropy could be reversed. Entropy is the way that once energy is spent, it's gone. And eventually all the energy in all the stars in all the universe will be spent and it's all gone. And the question this supercomputer was given was, can entropy be reversed? And I see that's really what we're trying to do with love. We're trying to recreate, we're trying to bring back everything to the center, if you like, spiritually, even if not physically. We're not trying to implode the universe. That's what we're trying to do. But can entropy be reversed? Can we stop this drift away into nothingness, the spending of all energy until it's all gone? And at the end of the book, this little tiny, there was a collection of stories. At the end of this story, it said, and the computer was called AC, and AC said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And it's like, oh, can you go there? Because that's where Genesis begins. So it's like, oh, is it the oscillating universe theory, and the God is actually a supercomputer? I think that was what Arthur C. Clarke was trying to play with our minds on. But yeah, the idea that it says, love is why we're here. We belong, we're one. Humanity a prism, a race that must be won. O-N-E, not W-O-N. Yeah. So that was important to me. I'm just looking at the other verses.
That's clever.
Well, yeah, I was into cleverness back then. I think what I read yesterday was quite clever, but I wasn't trying to be clever. It just flowed through me, the one that I read yesterday. So yeah, we're talking about the universe expanding. We hope it won't be lost into the outer darkness. So this gathering together is our great desire for love instead of loss. And love is the end and the beginning. It's almost like we, my belief is that we were all part of the oneness. And then we all decided it was a pretty boring place to be. Let's go and play a game called four-dimensional life, and we all showed up. We individuated here on planet Earth, but the idea behind it was just to play a game, and then eventually to go back to that peace and quiet and silence until we get bored again, and then go and play another game. So that's the kind of idea behind it. Love is the end and the beginning. So we come from love and we go back to love. I think it was Wayne Dyer who said, we were nowhere, N-O-W-H-E-R-E, and now we're here, N-O-W space H-E-R-E, and we're going back to nowhere, N-O-W-H-E-R-E. And here we are stuck in this parenthesis in eternity, which is our service to God. That's what Wayne Dyer said. So love's the end and the beginning. Love will carry us through. So when we're in the midst of this life, when often it doesn't seem to make any sense, this is the time when we can remember love, and love kind of makes sense of it all. You know, it all means something really beautiful if you see it through that prism of love. Till the old and tarnished is lost, and all things are made new. So this is something that there's great tribulation in the world, and Jesus said, "Fear not, I've overcome the world." There's a lot of stuff going off right now in our world. There's a lot of fear being foisted upon us from every direction, but perfect love, the Bible says, casts out all fear. So if we just keep focusing in on the title of my poem and the title of my new book on the 14th of February, Love, then it starts to make sense. So we're here to celebrate diversity. This is the last verse of the poem. We're glad we're all the same. Like a rose, we're overjoyed. Love is sweet by any name. What you consider to be an expression of love, other people might misunderstand, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't still be expressing love in the way that you feel it. I'd like some comments now from that, Steve.
I have. It was difficult sometimes for me because I forget what you're mid-sentence, and I want to like sort of jump in, but like sort of keeping quiet. And then by the end, time you've finished, I've forgotten what you
forgot
what I was wanting to say. But there's a few things that is like sort of that came up for me was like, once you really step into that love, fear has no place. You can acknowledge it, you can acknowledge fear, you can see that it's going on, but when you really truly are in that place of love, it has no effect on you. You become impervious to it. So that reflected in your words when you was reading your poem, and also when you're talking about the expanse, I always feel like the Fibonacci sequence that comes into my mind. And just recently, what I've been seeing is like sort of, I keep seeing a globe, and the fact that we are expanding, and as the earth moves, it's like sort of we're not all the same, but we gravitate to the energy of people that are similar. And so as the earth turns, we were once the foundations of the earth. And as we are moving towards the expansion, and we're expanding our consciousness as we rise, we become, like, say, if you look at it in a globe, we're moving towards the top, the pinnacle of the earth. It doesn't mean that the foundation is any less important, because without that foundation, you would never be where you are. And that's what your poem was like, sort of. I was seeing the globe moving around, and people in different places at different times, which is absolutely, it's fine. What we perceive now as being in a place that we were once where someone else was, not having the exact same experience, but having a similar experience on an energetic level. Correct. And that's so, as everything was like sort of, I feel like sort of it's expanding like a heartbeat. Your heartbeat goes sort of, you're in and then out, and then it contracts back in. So as we, that's life. It's just like sort of expanding out and then coming back in and moving. So so I think there was a little bit of what you said was about that, is like, let there be light. It's constant. It's a constant. You will always, there will always be love, there will always be light. And as you expand out to ever far reaching areas of experience, you can always come back to that center point, because that is the truth. My truth, anyway.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Catherine. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to read the poem and close the broadcast. So this is the poem called Love, written in November 2004 by myself. Love is why we're here. We belong. We're one. Humanity a prism, a race that must be won. Completeness is our aim, a joining of all hearts. It's up to me and you to stop the drift apart. As the universe expands, we hope it won't be lost into the outer darkness. That's too high a cost. A gathering together of all that is or was is our great desire for love instead of loss. Love is the end and the beginning. Love will carry us through till the old and tarnished is lost and all things are made new. We celebrate diversity. We're glad we're all the same. Like a rose, we're overjoyed. Love is sweet by any name. Namaste.
Beautiful.